Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat with Dr. Foojan.
Actually, the first thing that may affect our decisions are our belief system, and there are different factors which create our belief system. Our culture, our parents, our society, our education and knowledge, our past experiences, because sometimes we just look at our past experiences and just make future decisions based on our experiences, which might be wrong.
Introducing a powerful new update from the Foojan app. Now with flexible subscription plans to fit your journey monthly, quarterly, or yearly. Our new AI-driven onboarding customizes your path to feeling better, faster, and enjoy a refreshed experience with stunning 3D interactive videos. Update now. Empower your inner voice with Foojan. Download today.
Welcome to the Inner Voice, a heartfelt chat podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist and author and the founder of the International Awareness Integration Institute. So today, I'm so excited to be talking to Dr. Ali Asadi. He is an esteemed author, a senior business consultant, international speaker, and recognized for empowering professionals to thrive in today's competitive business landscape. As a respected entrepreneur, he shares widely acclaimed insights across a range of business topics, helping success-driven individuals and organizations worldwide reach their goals. Dr. Asadi is a creator of the Pearl Model, a powerful framework for making high-quality choices in life and work. Today, we will be talking about his latest book, Mastering Life's Choices Through the Pearl Model. I really enjoyed our conversation and learned a lot. I think you'll enjoy. We talked about how to make decisions, what are the risks of decision-making, what his model is about, and some very, very important ways of looking at decision-making process. Now, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, my YouTube channel, and connect with me through all my social media and website, foojanzeine.com. And I love to hear from you. Now, without further ado, here's Dr. Ali Asadi.
Listen up if you want to promote your personal growth and self-awareness. I found the Foojan app last month and I have been absolutely loving it. I personally have never learned guided meditation, but thanks to this app, I now have learned incredible tools for my own stress relief and emotional self-awareness. Not to mention, there are self-evaluation tools and professional coaching available to utilize however your journey to self-discovery takes you. Join Foojan today and redefine your life one step at a time.
Intentional Parenting, a practical guide to awareness integration theory, written by Dr. Jafari, Dr. Foojan Zeine, and Dr. Manoukian, three experts in human development, is your step-by-step guide to raising a healthy child prepared for a culturally integrated world. You're supported in parenting infants to adolescents using the latest evidence-based scientific research on parenting. Order your copy on Amazon now.
I'm so excited to have you back on our show, Dr. Ali Asadi. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zeine, for having me. Great to be with you.
Of course, I was so excited to see you at an event, and then you told me about your latest book, and you honored me with giving me this book. And I had the opportunity to a little bit skim over, but I really wanted us to talk about this new model that you've created, the Pearl Model, Mastering Life Choices.
Thank you so much. With pleasure.
Preparation, evaluation, action, reflection, learning, and that's Pearl. So share with us, first of all, why did you decide to create a model around decision-making itself?
Actually, I've been a business consultant and for more than 10 years, and I've been dealing with a lot of business managers and who had personal or professional issues in decision makings. And I noticed that if we consider our life like a cloth, like a tapestry of the different events, our decisions is one of the columns of our lives. And when I looked at it deeper, I noticed that our mindset makes our thoughts makes our decisions, and our decisions makes our actions, and consequently, our actions make our destiny. So it's like a domino effect, and decision making has a very important role in the middle of that domino. So I decided to study most of books in this topic, and also I got reflection on my own experiences, my own decisions, and I also checked politicians' decision making. I looked at the history of decision making, the most uh, terrible decisions by people in politicians, in personal or professional lives, and I came up with this model, the Pearl model, which is based on the critical action learning, meaning learning by taking actions, and also it got some insight from aviation industry that I will talk more about this.
Sure. So obviously, decision making, as you said, it encompasses the results that we create in our life, right? So most of the results are not a bit based on what's happening outside, but based on the information that we gather from outside. There is an internal process that actually happens on a let's say a natural level for each person. And when I mean natural, I don't mean all human beings. I mean that each person, based on what they've accumulated and their personality and what's important to them, they kind of pass through a particular point. Because sometimes when I've looked at my own wrong decisions, or other people, as as a therapist, people come in and talk about their process of decision making. One of the things that it's been really interesting to watch is that there is sometimes you look at, okay, maybe they don't have all the information. Maybe they're not looking at all the information. Most of the people see all the information, and yet there's something particular that becomes more important to them in the midst of all of this. And sometimes they call it emotions, and not necessarily that it's emotion. I know people say, like, I make decisions emotionally versus like logically. They still made it logically. It's just another one angle of what was important for them had a higher priority in the list than the other ones. Can you share a little bit about what?
Yeah, you mentioned two great points here. First of all, you talked about decision-making process. Most of us judge our decisions based on the results, not based on the process. That's why even if we have a good process, we gathered information, we analyzed them properly, and we looked at different criterias. But if we don't get good results, we think our decision was wrong. This approach is not correct. Why? Because we forgot to consider the role of luck in decision making. Most of us think decision making is like playing chess, which is not. Decision making is like playing a poker, in which there are some factors which are not under our control. You know that if you are the best poker player in the world, there is a high chance that you lose to a beginner by 40%.
That's how I've always won.
Yeah. But if you're a chess master, the chance that you lose to a beginner is very low, because in chess, you just memorize different movements and different tactics, and you know what to do. But in poker, you don't know what's going to come out from those deck of cards. So that's one thing. So we shouldn't judge decisions based on the results. That's one important thing. The other thing that you mentioned, that people might see this information, might have information, but may make wrong decisions because there are a lot of cognitive biases. For example, we have confirmation bias. You just seek information to confirm whatever you believe in. Sometimes you might have halo cognitive biases, which means You just make a decision just based on one factor. It's like you judge a person just because of appearance or just because of the profession or, just because of just one attribute of their personalities. So that's another important thing. Sometimes we have loss aversion. We just make a decision to prevent loss. We don't look at other factors. We don't look at the winning that we might get through our decisions. So there are different factors which made us make wrong decisions that we need to be aware of them, because decision making is something we can learn, we can improve. So that was one of the purposes of my book, actually, to not only to learn it myself and improve my decision making process, but also to help others to improve this process.
And have you found that there's a pattern into the way that people get used to the way that they create the decision? Like, as I said, like each person has a particular model in their own view in how they make a decision. Have you found that there's a pattern? And the reason I say this is it's been interesting to me. For example, people have different domain of life where they live, right? Like, and sometimes I see them making it completely different types of rationale for their decision making or priority. For example, when it comes to their relationship with their children or their mate or businesses, like this, the same person, however, as they come into the different domain of life, the patterns of decision makings or what prioritizes in the decision making becomes different. What are your thoughts on this?
Actually, the first thing that may affect our decisions are our belief system. And there are different factors which create our belief system: our culture, our parents, our society, our education and knowledge, our past experiences, because sometimes we just look at our past experiences and just make future decisions based on our experiences, which might be wrong. These things make our perceptions about different things, different topics. For example, if you invested in stock market and you lost a lot of money, you may think that whenever you invest in a stock market, it's very devastating for your business and your life. So if you go in a relationship and someone broke your heart, probably you may think, oh, I'm not the right person. So there are different things that may affect our mindset. That's why one of the first steps in the Pearl model, which is preparation, is learning about ourselves. That's very important. We shouldn't make decisions based on other people's priorities, based on our past experiences. We learn from our experiences, but life is driving a car. When you drive a car, you don't look at the rear mirror a lot of times. You look at the front. Sometimes you look at the rear mirror to learn from your experiences, but you do not allow your past experiences make your future. Another important thing, sometimes we may say, oh, I'm going to talk to coaches, talk to advisors, talk to my friends and family to get information. That's another important thing. Whenever you get advice, you need to consider different factors: the knowledge of that person, the experience of that person, and the benefits of that person in your decisions. Whoever gives you information, and if that person is beneficial in your decision, you need to verify it, because sometimes they might manipulate you to make a decision which is under their benefits, not yours. So there are different factors which may affect our decisions, and that's why the first step is learning about ourselves, learning about our goals. And that's very important, even for some young people when they want to select their future career or educational field. I always suggest them to just sit down and just think about their futures, see when they look themselves in the future. And that's very important. Another important thing that people may make wrong decisions, and it goes to decision-making preparation, which is decision tempo. Should we make decisions quickly, or should we spend a lot of time and do a lot of researches? If we make decisions quickly, we may make wrong decisions. If we do a lot of researches, we may lose opportunities. So finding the right decision tempo is extremely important. And I came up with a couple of rules and regulations which help people to find the right decision tempo.
Mhm. So, and obviously, what we're talking about at this time, they could be decisions that are not sprung upon us, which at the moment we have to make a decision. Because if you're looking at doing your research, looking at all the alternatives, I'm sensing these are more decisions that it's the next phase of life that we are not necessarily responding to the world in a quick way, but we're looking, contemplating, evaluating, and all of it. But in the same token, if we go through this model and look at the different angles and prepare ourselves, since the first one, the P is preparation, we get to know ourselves and all of that. Then when you kind of like master the game of yourself in the decision making, then you can also adjust that to quick decision makings that are reflection necessarily or a reaction to that we have to make a decision at that moment because someone strung something upon us that we actually have to make a decision.
Exactly. And as I mentioned, there are different rules and regulations for it. For example, there is a rule that actually Jeff Bezos created it. It's called the two-way door policy. So Jeff Bezos mentioned that if there is a decision that's like a two-way door, you can go from and then you can come back. You can make your decision quickly because it's reversible. Or there is another rule called 10 rule in decision making. Means whenever you are going to make a decision, you need to think about the impact of that decision on your life 10 minutes, 10 weeks, and 10 months from now. Definitely, if the impact is on 10 months and 10 years, you need to take your time and spend more time because that's going to be a crucial decision. So we understand these things by just practicing.
So the preparation is more about, as you said, awareness of ourselves, looking at who we are and getting to know ourselves, evaluating.
And also learning about the problem.
Learning about the problem.
Yes, because problem definition is one of the most important parts of preparation. So sometimes we may target the wrong problem. We spend a lot of resources, and at the end, we'll find out that it was not the right problem. Even in business, for example, I've seen there are some people that they think, for example, marketing or lack of having enough customers is their problems. But when we get to the root of that issue, we notice that the main problem was human resource management or the lack of leadership. So problem definition is also extremely important. What's your purpose of that decision? For example, what's your purpose of buying that house? Do you want to show off other people that you have a big house, or you want to have a comfortable place to enjoy your life? So when you go deeper on your purpose, sometimes you may identify there are a lot of biases in your purpose. So I've created different checklists to analyze yourself, to analyze your objectives, to stay away from personal biases, to clear your mind. So, and that was another section of preparation. And after that, we come up with different criterias. If different things that we are going to compare, they have in the same category. For example, if you are going to buy a house, you know that different houses might have, similar criterias, like in terms of the space, in terms of the location, pricing, and so on. Sometimes we might make decisions regarding different things that they do not have similar criterias. For example, you want to purchase a house or you're going to move to another city. So in this case, you need to consider profit and loss, and which are not just financially. In general, whenever you make a decision, you have three risks: financial, relationship, and health. And these things are related to each other. If you don't have a good profession or business, it may affect your health and relationship. If you're not healthy, it may affect your business and relationship. And if you are in a problematic relationship, it may ruin both your health and financial lives. That's why whenever you're going to make a decision, you need to consider all these three factors. Sometimes we may make a decision which is great financially, but it may ruin your relationship and your health. So you need to be aware of that. And that's the thing that most people don't care about. At the beginning, they look at the deal as, oh, it's great financially. They don't pay attention that the subsequent of that financial decisions, they forget to look at the relationship side of it, to the health side of it. And that's very important when you evaluate different options.
How about miscalculations, such as, for example, the conversation you were having? Because, for example, when I speak with some clients who are wanting to open a business or relocate because of a job offer or a business offer, which creates, or migration from a country to another or a state to another state, and sometimes I think that what you talked about, the bias, is that because some shiny coin is in front of us and really holds us, and that's what's missing in our life, and we thought this is the only thing that is holding us from being happy, shows up. Don't we downplay that? Again, not that we don't have the information, or
I know.
A lot of times that even in sessions we've talked about it and know it, we actually look at all of it. But I've also noticed that as human beings, we downplay some of the risks because we want the shiny coin or whatever that is. Like even relationships.
I know.
With premarital counseling, well, they come and you look at all of these red flags and orange flags and yellow flags, and not that they don't know it, but it seems like they downplay some of it because at that moment the level of the pleasure of the connection or the intimacy, or they've been alone for so many years that they just want someone. And how do you, in the Pearl model, how do you handle this level of bias?
Great question. That's the area that I got insight from aviation industry. As you may know, the chance that you get killed in a hospital due to medical mistakes is 6,000 times more than you get killed on the plane. Why? Because of human errors. Why we have less issues in aviation industries? Because of checklists. Have you seen those pilots? They always have small notebooks in front of them, although they may know everything, but they have checklists to check everything. And that's one of the things I brought in my book, to have checklists in different areas. Whenever you are going to define a problem, look at the checklist. Probably you forgot some things. Whenever you are going to evaluate different things, it doesn't hurt just to look at the checklist as well, to see if probably you skipped some area, or you got so emotional and your emotions just impacted your decisions. So it's good to look at those checklists, and it's kind of alarm just to awaken you regarding that things. And that's the thing I believe that is very helpful when you look at those checklists and you see, oh, how come I didn't consider that in my decision?
And how do you bring the value of emotions into the process? Because obviously, so far, we're alluding to the concept of how to go in an evaluation of the logical aspects and profits and losses and, the risk management and what is and all of it. But there is also the factor of
course,
our excitement. And most of, when you said, what is the purpose of doing this, a lot of times the ultimate purpose still comes down to some sort of an emotional satisfaction, right? So in the same token, that emotion becomes like, the highest priority, or it becomes like the fuel of the motivation in order to move forward and decide in that way, or even move us forward. And almost like the pleasure that we are hoping to get justifies the amount of pain or effort that we have to do, creating whatever result we want to in this decision we're going. How do you put emotional charge into the system?
As you know, 80% of people makes decisions emotionally
Yes.
than logically. So, as you said, although they might know everything, but again, they listen to their hearts, not their brains. But what we always recommend people, yeah, it's good to listen to your heart, but take your brain with you as well. So you shouldn't do whatever makes you happy, because sometimes, yeah, there are different things that make you happy, but they will put you in trouble. So it's good to consider your emotions, to consider your happiness. And that's the thing that, again, we look at ourselves. What really makes you happy? Are you happy to do these things because your cousin did it? Or you're really happy because this is something that you really want? So when you go deeper in yourself, when you analyze yourself, self-awareness is important. Oh, this decision, what I'm doing is just because I just compare myself with others. This is not me. Probably if they didn't do that, probably I wouldn't want to do that. So that's very important. Again, learning about ourselves is extremely important.
Yes. And then you'll offer them my model of awareness integration in order for them to become
Exactly. See, we compatible each other.
exactly. Now, Dr. Asadi, you also talk about using AI in the in decision-making process.
Yeah.
And then you shared, for example, in aviation, not only there's checklists, but you said there's less human error. So there's so many other factors there that allows this thing to work. And I'm assuming that I've personally used AI in editing, and many of even startup of something, which I ask them and it shows up for me. But it's interesting. Can you share about how do you use AI in your model and in the decision-making process?
First of all, I don't anyone and anything to make decisions on my behalf. No person, no machines, no AI tools. I just get ideas from people. Whenever I get advice, whenever I read a book, whenever I use AI, I just get idea. I never ever copy paste anything in my life. I always customize whatever I learn in my life. That's one thing. The other thing is AI is a great tool. It opens some areas probably your radar didn't catch. So, but as I mentioned, you need to use your own brains as well, because AI at this time gets the whole information from the internet, and not all information in the internet is correct. So you may use AI. There are some prompts that I've brought in my book, which helps people in decision making. But again, you just need to get ideas from it.
Yeah, because one of the things that I've noticed, because we created an AI chatbot for my app, Foojan app, and we use the ChatGPT engine, but then we fed it all of my books and everything. But then it's interesting because the difference is that the AI chatbot we created, it has a different algorithm, and the algorithms that we've used in ChatGPT or Gemini and many of other ones, they are geared toward pleasing you. And so I wonder, though, when it comes to the concept of it, then would it tell you something to please you, although it might not necessarily be the right thing. For example, there are a lot of articles that are at this point coming, and I'm not mentioning the names of the AI companies, but there have been many different AI companies where someone, for example, wanted to make a decision to end their life. And they started checking with the AI, and the AI they said, absolutely, it's a great idea, and this is how you should do it. Or someone had a bipolar diagnosis, and many people who have bipolar diagnosis don't want to, they're not that good at medication management because they like their high, and the medication kind of settles it down. So kind of was talking to the AI, and they kind of convinced the AI, and the AI said, absolutely, you don't need to get off medication. So these are some of the things that we saw that was dangerous and was not safe for the patient. So we went in and, put in different safety factors for Mira and the AI we created. So what are your concerns if, for example, if we're prompting the AI to support us in some decision making or give us some information at least, with what we know the algorithm is written, would it really give us the accurate information that is capturing, or just because it wants to please me and reflect back to me, mirror back to me what I like, that'll just feed me back what I'm giving it versus expansion of what areas that I wouldn't even see?
Your answer is yes and no.
So explain, please explain.
So let me tell you two examples that happened to me. Last month, I was going to purchase a new mattress. So I searched different brands, different models, different things, and I came up with a couple of brands, and then I asked ChatGPT regarding the sizes. And ChatGPT told me that based on your height and whatever you want, it's better to get the mattress and the foundation with this tall. So I said, okay, but I called the customer service, and the gentleman behind the line told me, no, this is going to be too high for you, and it's better to get shorter. So I trusted him and ordered. But when I told ChatGPT about that, he said, no, it's a mistake. Don't do that. Just call back the guy and tell him that, no, you want the higher size. You cannot believe it. And when I got the mattress, I noticed even the one that the guy already sent me, it was kind of high. So I'm glad I didn't listen to ChatGPT. Another thing, I tested AI for investment in real estate. I gave two properties to ChatGPT in different timings. And every time, the first time it said, property one is very good. Then the second time, property two is very good. So I know it's not 100% trustworthy, but it's good to get idea. Like other people, do you get advice from your friends or a book or something? Definitely. But as I mentioned, you cannot copy and paste it in your place. Different people might have different mindset, might have different experiences, and they shared with you based on their own experiences. Your life might be totally different, your objectives, your perspectives. So you get idea. That's why even they say when you read a book, if you can implement just 3 points of a book based on your own life, you did a great job.
So I also want to go back to this idea of, for example, we made a decision. Okay. So we went through whatever model is in our own head, and hopefully people will, get the book and go through the Pearl model. As you said, it's not 100% proof, right? You always have the element of the poker playing, and you might have information later on shows up that you didn't have, and you couldn't really put it into the, factors that you were making a decision, or some unknown thing happened, or luck was not there, or whatever reason that your decision showed that it just wasn't the right decision. So one angle of it is that I want something and I'll go forward and I don't get it. And then I'll say, okay, I made the right decision. Another one is that I will get it, but then in hindsight, the results show me that it was the wrong decision, and or my needs change and that happened. Based on your model, if we go back, so for example, we made a decision, we then said this was not the right decision. If I could use your model to go back and evaluate a past decision so that I can learn from it, how would I go forward with your model going?
Excellent. That's why after action, we have reflection and learning. The last two steps in the Pearl model are about reflection and learning. So reflection means, as you mentioned, sometimes you don't get what you want and you get upset, and sometimes you work hard to get what you want and what you desire, but as soon as you get it, you say, "Oh, that was it." That's why we have something which we call the winner's curse. The winner's curse. What does it mean? For example, you attended an auction and you saw a jewelry and they say, okay, this jewelry is on auction and it starts from $1,000. You bid for it, 1,000. Another person said 1,500. Then you go $2,000. Another person said 3,000. You go up, up, up. Then you paid $50,000 for that piece of jewelry just to win the auction. If you were gonna purchase the same jewelry outside, it would have cost you probably $10,000. But you spent $40,000 more just to win the auction. And when you got it, it's, oh, I spent 40, why I did it? That's we call the winner's curse. So it's very important when you review your decisions, when you reflect on your decisions, do not have overcommitment. If you see something wrong, just change your direction. That's one of the main characteristics of successful people. When they see they have done something wrong, they change the direction. That's one of the things I always ask my students. I said, just imagine that you need to go on top of a mountain, the peak of the mountain, and when you go in the middle of the way, you notice that you came up the wrong mountain. What would you do? Do you go down to go to the right mountain, or you continue your way? Some of them say, no, we continue our way. We already came here. Some of them say, no, it's the wrong goal. That's why many people just stick to wrong goal. It's like a gambler that says, oh, I've already spent a lot of money. Let me continue. At least I might win. So that's very important. That's the thing that we have in our decisions. It's very good to be persistent, to fight for what you care and what you want. But you must not have overcommitment. That's very important. There is a balance between these two. I cannot hear you. I think you're muted.
There's 2 points there that I hear also. And what I hear about that is that in the path that we go forward, that we might stumble on and see, whoops, I'm off my course. This is not the way that I wanted to come. I'm off my course. And, it's a point of reevaluation, as you said. I've come here, it might be a new experience. And yes, I wanted to go to that mountain, but hey, I'm already half in this mountain. Why don't I change? Do a reevaluation, and I say, if my whole concept was to be able to experience mountains or climbing, hey, I'm in a new one. I'll just change my course and experience this and add it. Or if I was passing through the mountain because I was going to get somewhere else, and obviously if I'm on the wrong mountain, I'm not going to get somewhere else. So then I have to get off of it and move. So this also shows up in many of our decision makers. Like, okay, I wanted to have I wanted to have such a, like this business, or I moved to a new location, or I was in my fantasy, I came to this relationship and I married this person because I wanted such and such. And now I'm in the midst of it. Now I need to reevaluate the original purpose, and I'm here. Should I just continue with what's going on, or should I actually move away? So even part of the decision making is whether I shift to a new place or not. And I think it's very important what you said.
That's why this model is a cycle. It's not a straight line.
Yes.
Because you may need to do through different cycles to get to where you want to be.
Yes.
Sometimes you may try different things. And in this way, you learn about yourself, you learn about your preferences, and then you can prepare better, then you can make decisions, and then again by reflection and learning you come up with an optimized decisions and then you take action based on that.
Okay, everyone, now go get this book, Mastering Life Choices, The Pearl Model, by Dr. Ali Asadi, and you will have a lot of not only great tools but assessment tools and resources that would really support you. Anything we haven't said that we need to say?
Just we always say knowledge is power, but which is not. Taking action on whatever you have, your knowledge is power, getting insight. Because whenever you read a book, we have a lot of people like that. They read a book and they don't do anything. They go for another book, then another book. So that's not a good approach. It's better to, whenever you read a book and when you finish it, just try to take some actions based on whatever you learned. And after that, you can go for another book. Just reading books without taking actions doesn't work. That's my advice to people.
You have a lot of good action prompts in your book that people can actually use. Where can they find you and your book? I'm assuming Amazon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And where can they find you?
Through my website, aasadi.com, and my number is 310-844-6735.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking
my pleasure.
Be with us.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.
For all of you who are out there, if you liked what we talked about, please share it with someone and then give us a rate and on the podcast, wherever you hear your podcast, and create an amazing life for yourself and everyone around you. And until next week, bye-bye.
Are you a psychotherapist looking to enhance your practice? The Awareness Integration Therapy developed by Dr. Foojan Zeine is a comprehensive guide to the principle and techniques of this powerful therapeutic approach. Join the growing community who have elevated their practice and expanded their skills by embracing Awareness Integration Therapy and witnessing its life-changing impact. Order your copy on Amazon now.